Hello everyone and welcome back to another of our weekly sessions in English here at the Prado Museum with the American Friends of the Prado Museum. Today we're going to have a closer look at this painting, The Finding of Moses by Paolo or Paolo Veronese. And we're going to be talking about Veronese, and you might see more of him in the coming months because we're getting ready for a big exhibit on Veronese here at the Prado. And we're so excited about it because Veronese is such an important part of this collection. We have a lot of paintings by Veronese, and because he's representative of Venetian painting, which is such a cornerstone here in this collection. We have a really important, extensive collection of Venetian painting, and so we're really excited for this upcoming exhibit in May, and of course all of the things that an exhibit comes along with, like all of the research and the technical studies and all of the great things that that exhibit's going to bring. So we really encourage you to check it out. So let's have a look here at this painting of The Finding of Moses. Now this story of the finding of Moses is taken from the second chapter of Exodus, when the newborn baby Moses is hidden in a basket among reeds along the bank of the Nile, and he's discovered by this woman here, who is the daughter of the Pharaoh of Egypt. And she's coming down to the river to go bathe with her maids, and she sees this baby in the basket. Now, according to the Bible, Moses was placed in this basket by his mother, and he was hidden beside the river to escape the mandate of the Pharaoh that all male offspring of the Israelites be killed at birth. Now, when the basket was discovered by the king's daughter, when she came to the river to bathe, she took pity on the child. And Moses' sister Miriam was nearby, and she saw that the princess was interested in baby Moses, and so she comes close to the princess and said that she can help find somebody to take care of the baby and raise the baby, to nurse the baby. And in this way, Moses was actually returned to his own mother and raised by his own mother. And in this painting, this beautiful painting, we see lavish textiles, opulent jewelry, all of these details from courtly life. We see a servant, we see a buffoon, all of these small little details, and all of these details you can see so wonderfully now because this painting has actually just come back from cleaning and getting ready for this exhibit. So it's a great time to see all of this painting in detail. Now, Veronese is known for his paintings that bring all of that opulence of courtly setting to life, all of those theatrics. And here he's bringing us a taste of that courtly life, but in a religious scene, a biblical narrative. But this is a biblical narrative that really is presented in the most secular way. It really feels like a contemporary scene. These figures seem to represent much more of setting of courtly life in 16th century Venice, much more than a biblical scene in ancient Egypt. And this topic, this subject, this theme of the finding of Moses became popular in the 16th century with other painters like Bonifazio Veronese and also by Tintoretto. We have another painting by Tintoretto here of the finding of Moses here in the same room. Now, the immediate occasion for Veronese to paint this theme of the finding of Moses might have been when Carlos Manuel I, who was the new Prince of Savoy, commissioned 4 different scenes from the Old Testament. And one of them was the finding of Moses. And those scenes probably came together to tell a story that would kind of flatter the new prince, relating him to the identity of some of these biblical heroes. But here, as I said, this is a treatment of this scene that really feels more contemporary and more secular than religious. And this is not one of those paintings that was for Carlos Manuel, so this doesn't have that political read. But it must have been a popular subject that Veronese painted, because there's a few different paintings on the same subject. And the beginning of them might be a lost composition, actually. And that lost composition, we only know of it from an engraving. And from that engraving, we have 2 different typologies, 2 different types, interpretations of this scene. that have stemmed. And one of them is larger and horizontal, and then the other is smaller and vertical, like the one that we have here at the Prado, which is similar in composition and in format and dimensions to one that's at the National Gallery in Washington. But the Prado is really lucky to have this one, but with such an excellent quality of painting, which we can appreciate so well because of its recent cleaning. And all these details are so fantastic as well, not just because this has been cleaned, but because this is a really unique painting by this painter who usually works in really, really large formats. Venetian paintings tend to be some of the largest canvases that we can find in any museum in the world, really because of the climate conditions of Venice. If somebody needed a really, really big painting in their home, in a lot of other places they might have turned to fresco painting. But because of all of the humidity in Venice, those were paintings that didn't last quite as long, and they couldn't hold up in those conditions. And so a lot of painters would use really large canvases. One that we might think of is in the Louvre, right? The wedding feast at Cana, which is right in front of the Mona Lisa, this enormous canvas. This is typical of Venetian painting. And here in this smaller work by Veronese, we get to see how this painter of such grand dimensions is able to interpret all of these small details with such delicacy and with such care and accuracy. So it's a beautiful painting that we get to enjoy now that it's clean and it's ready for our upcoming exhibit. So we do hope that you come to see it when it opens in May. So thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you again next week for more sessions in English.